Welcome back to Meandering Through Time with our history columnist, Michael Rainville Jr. Great to see you again, Michael.
Hi, it's good to see you too. Thanks for having me back.
In December, we enjoyed Meandering Through Time to revisit traditions of Minneapolis past, such as the Holidazzle, the 8th floor holiday display at Dayton's, and the large Christmas tree in Gateway Park. What do you have in store for us this month?
All right, so today I'll be talking about the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, but before I do, we need to know how the Federal Reserve System started. The United States struggled to find its central banking system that addressed the needs of an ever-changing nation all the way up until 1913, when President Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act into law. The system is responsible for managing the country's money supply, making loans and providing oversight to banks, as well as serving as a lender of last resort. All of these responsibilities and more are entrusted to 12 regional banks that have their own district, with the Minneapolis Bank overseeing the 9th district. The bank started its operations in Minneapolis on November 16, 1914, and during the bank's first 2 months, they had offices and vaults in many different buildings throughout downtown. In January of 1915, they moved to the New York Life Insurance Building on 5th Street South and 2nd Avenue. In 1921, the Federal Reserve System approved the creation of 18 branch banks, with the 9th district receiving none. The Minneapolis Bank was still steadily growing and needed the help, so Norman B. Holter, a businessman from Helena, Montana, and a member of the Minneapolis Board of Directors, successfully lobbied to put a branch in his hometown. To this day, Helena is the only other branch in the 9th district. To help alleviate even more pressure on the Minneapolis offices, the bank purchased property on 5th Street South and Marquette Avenue with the intent of building their very first permanent home. They hired the famous architect Cass Gilbert, who's also known for designing the capitals of Minnesota and West Virginia, the United States Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C., and the St. Paul Seminary in the next town over here. Opening in 1925, the bank's new neoclassical home was 4 stories with a large sub-basement, and the facade was adorned with giant granite Roman columns. The building expanded in 1956 when an additional 9 stories were added to the original structure. 2 decades later, the Minneapolis Bank was eager to expand. The bank purchased land at 250 Marquette and wanted a modern building for the new headquarters. The building, known as Marquette Plaza, was completed in 1973 and became the first and only building in the world to utilize catenary cables for suspension to keep it standing. The architect even designed the building so it would be able to expand and double its height if need be. The cables used for the expansion would be inverted, which would then create an oval shape on the 2 main sides of that building. Another 2 decades after that, the bank hired the architect firm HOK to build their current campus, located on Hennepin Avenue and 1st Street North. This site is significant because Minneapolis, because this is where James J. Hill had his Great Northern Depot, and it's right next to the Hennepin Avenue Bridge, the first bridge to span the Mississippi anywhere on the river.
That's quite the history, and pretty cool that so many locations for the Federal Reserve are still standing and scattered throughout downtown Minneapolis. I also had no idea that Marquette Plaza was a suspension building. Do you have any interesting or other interesting facts about that particular building?
Yeah, so a cool thing they did when they first purchased the land was select 90 Hennepin Avenue as the building's address in order to match their designation as the 9th district. But my favorite part about the Federal Reserve's current spot is the 5 3D bronze interpretive exhibits that show the chronological growth of Minneapolis from 1805 to 1995. They're located along a path right between the Hennepin Avenue Bridge and the building. And they do a great job at helping us visualize the change that has happened along the riverfront there, the main part of the downtown riverfront, from natural to industrial to what it is today with commerce and parkland.
Thank you so much for sharing some history about the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, Michael.